He made everyone here feel seen and understood. And that's a lot of people for one person to hold in their heart, but he managed to do it. And what a rare and precious experience for us all to have had. And that's why we owe it to my dad to try and learn something from his life and to make meaning out of the cruelty of his absence. So now I'm going to spend the rest of my speech bossing all of you around and telling you to be more like him. And I think you have to do what I say today, or that would be like pretty messed up. You'd really have to take that up with Jesus. Okay, so number one, don't be afraid to tell people how much you love them. Life is way too short to leave these kind of things unsaid. My dad was the kind of guy who would, in the most public places, put both his hands on my shoulders, look me in the eye, and tell me that the moment that I was born changed his life forever. I'm not exaggerating, he did that. It was a lot, but he didn't care if the cashier heard him or the line needed to keep moving. You know, in that moment, it was the only thing in life that mattered to him, was saying that. How lucky was our family to hear enough I love yous for many lifetimes. And how lucky were you all to get the leftover ones. And that brings me to number two. My dad had every excuse in the world to lock up his heart and throw away the key. His own father told him he loved him once, ever. At least that was what he told me for most of his life. A few months before he died, he revealed to me that those words were actually, "I don't hate you." He deserved so much more than either version of that story. So let's try to remember that our trauma and our pain doesn't have to rule our lives. We have to stop hurting other people just because we've been hurt. My dad took scraps of affection and created a life devoted to loving and listening to other people. What a thing to strive for. What a legacy. Number three, fad diets don't work. You'll always gain the weight back. My dad did Atkins, a 40-day juice cleanse where he added Tabasco to his celery juice. He ate completely vegetarian, all with his typical gusto and commitment. And yet, without fail, I find him in the fridge, digging into takeout boxes at midnight shortly after the end of each diet. Just eat your vegetables and cut back on the fast food and you'll be okay. Number four, read a lot. Read to your kids. Books are exciting destinations you can visit together for like $10. They were our great escape together. Worlds of emotion that we shared. One of the greatest gifts my dad gave me was a love of stories. When life gets tough or friends are few, books can be more than just an escape. They're places to feel the human experience through the eyes of another, to find meaning in our messy and painful and beautiful lives. Number four, people are what life's all about. If we want to leave a legacy of any lasting value, we need to care about them. My dad could get on a bus with a stranger and leave knowing their story, holding them, praying for them. To know him, even briefly, was to feel held by him. And how scarce is that experience for so many people. Donnie loved being a dad so much so that he couldn't stop at just fulfilling this role with our family. He showed the love of his Father in heaven to everyone he met and mentored, from Boy Scouts to coworkers to people on his commute and to all the kids he met in kids ministry. So let's be like him, generous with our time, our affection, and our passion for people. The image of God deserves nothing less. Number 5, be childish. Be curious. Be excited about things. My dad's energy for life was so intense and inspiring. The closest example I can think that compares is, remember when Tom Cruise jumped on the couch on Oprah's show? That was how enthusiastic my dad was. He sang loudly, whenever he felt like it. He savored recipes he'd made 1,000 times. He watched storm clouds roll in like they were action movies. Cancer might have weakened his loud laughter. He couldn't spring up in excitement anymore, but he still found things to be excited about. A couple days before he died, when his mind and his body were failing him, he grabbed my arm firmly and said, "Outside." And I held him by the arm and led him on a chair in the backyard. And I watched him soak up the golden hour sun for the last time, closing his eyes and cracking a little bit of a smile. It was the last of many times I watched him do that. My dad was proof you didn't have to go far to marvel at the beauty of life. It's in our backyard. It's in the faces of our families and our friends. You just have to look for it. And if you don't find it at first, keep looking until you do. I'm going to wrap it up with a quote from The Lord of the Rings, which my dad read me cover to cover out loud. It was something, he's getting away from it. It's something that our nerdy hearts bonded over. And in the book, Frodo tells Gandalf he wishes that the ring had never come to him, and that none of the bad things in life that have befallen him would have happened. And haven't we all felt that? I'm sure my dad did as he succumbed to his illness. But Gandalf tells Frodo, "So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." And my dad made great use of his time on earth. And even in his darkest hour, he didn't become bitter. He just kept loving, and he just kept searching for the light. So let's all do the same. Thank you.